Kinky fuckers of YouTube, I've got a new one for you, and it's about safety. Now, I know some of you probably think safety isn't sexy, but safety is sexy, and also making sure we have the right information is always sexy. Now, I want to bring this up for two reasons. One, because lately we've caught a lot of negative feedback about the risks of the blood chokes that we teach, which, yes, this weekend we're going to be doing a brand new video educating once more the proper way to do it, hopefully with better camera quality this time, because for whatever fucking reason happened last time, the quality was so fucking wonky. I want to do it better, and obviously we have some amazing partners that I want to share with you. Now, that being said, all kink has risks, and you really need to enter into these relationships being aware of these kinks. You know, a lot of people go back and forth with safe, sane, and consensual versus risk-aware consensual kink. Now, I'm a firm believer of the rack ideology, partially because everybody's definition of sane is different. And technically, none of this is inherently safe. Now, a lot of it's low risk, and there's a lot of ways to mitigate those risks, but you can't go into a kink dynamic thinking everything is safe and everything's okay. You know, little things happen, accidents happen. If you think otherwise, you are sorely, sorely mistaken and are likely to have some negative downsides of that. Now, I want to bring this up because specifically, again, yes, we are going to be doing the choking video, which we'll discuss more in length about how to stay safe during blood chokes and how to do things safely and correctly and the steps you need to take beforehand and afterwards and et cetera to make sure that you're doing things correctly. That being said, I want people to be aware that not everything is risk-free. You know, everybody on TikTok and these social media platforms, if you do a choking demo, man, you got the gatekeepers that are just going, rah, you know, how dare you teach this? We will destroy you. Sorry. But the funny thing is they don't have the same attitude about bondage. Now, we actually made some friends recently, and hopefully we're going to be able to do some bondage videos for you. But that being said, I want to bring to your attention that, yes, even bondage, something as simple as bondage or handcuffs and all that stuff, has risk. And actually, can be one of the more risky activities that can take place in kink. Now, mind you, all of this stuff, I'm not trying to scare you. I just want you to be aware. I want you to be aware of what you're taking on. I want you to be aware of what you're getting into, where you need to do your research, and also specifically, frankly, how to avoid the bullshit, okay? Now, first of all, if you're getting into bondage, I'll tell you right now, stay away from the metal handcuffs, guys. Unless you have a specific police fantasy or something like that, metal handcuffs are bad, okay? They just are. There's no give. There's a lot of ways to do damage there. They're just not great, okay? So when in doubt, realistically, the best way to start with bondage or restriction of movement is with padded cuffs. And I don't mean fuzzy handcuffs like you get from Spencer's. I mean an actual padded cuff that has a pad all the way around. And make sure when you do that, and we'll do a demo on it, but make sure that you have that pad the whole way, not that it's breaking because you're still doing pressure, okay? Still keep an eye out for circulation, etc. But that's going to be your safest route. Now, where you want to get past that point, before you even get into bondage, is make sure, when you're doing bondage especially, make sure it's with a partner you trust, okay? And here's the reason why. Bondage leads to, and this is one of those safety things, bondage can lead to abuse. Why? Well, you're fucking stuck, right? You're not going anywhere. So realistically, until you have trust built with a person, I wouldn't engage in bondage. I would engage in other types of play. And when you get to bondage, as you're building trust, it won't hurt to have some kind of exit system. Maybe they leave one hand free. There's ways to do it safely and take that in steps as you build trust. And then once you have trust, then make sure you've communicated your safe words. Make sure you've communicated things like drop objects if you're gagged. So something that, you know, even if it's a lighter, just drop if you have an issue. Nonverbal cues are important. You know, just having pineapple doesn't always work. Now, when you get into the heavier bondage stuff, and I don't care if you've read 1,000 books or you're just getting started, I want you guys to be aware of a few things, okay? And I pulled up a few articles here that are extremely, and here's the thing, guys, you can Google bondage and you're going to have all kinds of stuff. Now, I want you to understand. That some of these articles are meant to be overtly scary. They're probably a little biased, and that's okay. It's still a valid point. And the reason why I bring that up, though, too, is because a lot of people have been sharing wrong information about choking. And specifically, like lately, we've had people trying to tie in this blackout challenge in with our choking. Now, mind you, the blackout challenge has to do with autoerotic asphyxiation, which is that you're by yourself and you're tying a belt around your neck. That's not safe. Ever. Ever, ever, ever. That's not safe. Never should you do that shit by yourself. And frankly, as somebody who does breath play and blood chokes quite often, I don't ever use something around the neck. I don't use belts. Now, I might have put a scarf somewhere, okay? And even that you need to be careful with, but I've never had something that has to be removed, has to be untied or otherwise, because there is a lot of inherent risks with that. But with a blood choke, for 3 to 5 seconds or even 10 seconds, with a hand gripped the right way, you don't have those risks. You know, these people that are, this poor kid, and it's terrible that she died, although I do question where the parents, I don't really question the challenge. The challenge is stupid, but I question what the fuck the parents were doing. But even that being said, you can't compare a consensual blood choke between adults done the right way, with education, with first aid, etc., as you can to that shit. You just can't. But here's what I want you to understand. Even bondage has risks, past the fact of, you know, the risk of a violation of consent. Bruising, you know, everybody loves rope marks, but bruising can be part of the thing. If you like bruises, that's fine. What you need to be worried about more is things like nerve damage, things like neck injuries, things like whiplash, things like you can develop jaw problems from gags or from biting on the rope, okay? Dislocated joints is another one. The nerve damage, if you do nerve damage by doing a tie the wrong way, that can actually, the necrosis, which means somebody's going to have a dead limb, okay? Now, I joke about this, and I say this because, you know, I've always said, hey, like, you know, red for your safe word is like, it's your emergency. Something is inherently wrong. My leg fell off, etc. And I say that, well, technically with bondage, you could get, you're not going to fall off, but you could kill that. You know, asphyxiation is something that can happen. You can have a lack of circulation, obviously falling, but that's, you know, a little different. But nerve damage is really the big one that people don't realize. And what pisses me off about it is, as much as people talk about trying to teach a 60-second, teach blood soak or other kinds of edge play in 60 seconds on TikTok, you've got a gazillion bondage videos and nobody says a fucking thing. There's no safety. There's no otherwise. Which, by the way, if you're going to engage in bondage, always have a pair of safety shears, you know, medical shears like the EMTs use. Like I've got my rescue dive kit. Paramedical shears goes a long way. However, you actually can do nerve damage from brief ties. It can start with numbness, tingling. It can go to the point of basically you don't feel anything. If you put the rope in the wrong spot on the body and you put pressure on that body, there's a chance of nerve damage. And it's not just a simple thing of knowing positions. Sometimes it's about body mass. You know, depending on how heavy or skinny your partner is and depending on their body composition, nerves might be in different spots. Nerves might be easier to put pressure on the wrong way. And you need to be aware of that. And that's a huge, huge thing. Now, mind you, it's, you know, it also ties on where you tie to, where you mount to. But I see people jump into these, you know, they buy a Shibari book on Amazon and they're like, I'm going to do pretty ties, yay! And, you know, they skip past the safety thing. The same thing as we as people skip past, you know, the instruction book on putting together the bookshelf, whatever. It's something you can't skip past. And it's something that creators and educators need to be aware of. I swear to Christ, I get so frustrated with people who are like, well, choking is dangerous, but all this other shit is safe. No, it's not. Guys, wax play is dangerous. You can get second and third degree burns if you use the wrong type of wax, or if you don't let the wax cool, or if you drip it too close to the skin. You know, everybody thinks that the only risky play is blood play, knife play, breath play, but inherently, actually, those of us who actually know what the fuck we're talking about will tell you that a blood choke done the right way has less risk than some of the more quote-unquote safe activities. We will do more emphasis on safety with future videos, including where to hit and how there's different soft spots of the body when you're doing impact play you need to avoid, different types of toys that can be used different places. You know, like the human butt is very meaty and there's a lot you can do there, but you got to be careful where you sit otherwise. So do me a favor, before you engage into any of this stuff, have fun, but make sure you do the research on the safety stuff. And when you do the research, make sure you trust multiple sources. And I will tell you this, whether or not you follow us or another creator, do this for yourself. If somebody consistently tells you no, and when I say no, I don't mean consent-wise. I mean if some creator, some educator consistently tells you, well, you shouldn't do this, you have no business doing this, etc. And that's all they ever do. They don't give you an alternative. They don't give you direction. They're just like, no, it's bad. Those are probably the people you should avoid. You know, case in point, these people that have come after us for the blood choke stuff, they don't offer an alternative. They don't criticize other people. They don't offer forward-thinking progression or how to teach you. It's just, don't do it. Now, we know how well the DARE program works for drugs, you know, and how much popular culture has tied in choking and with music and otherwise for kink. And it's a common fantasy. It's almost as common as feet, you know. So look for people who will give you alternatives, people who will give you guidance without saying, no, just don't do it. Okay? Now, that's not true in all things. Like, no, you shouldn't love your dog. You love your dog, but don't love your dog. You know, stuff like that. But when it comes to common sense stuff, approach it the right way. And whether you trust us or another educator, make sure you're getting your information from someone who is factual and not just gatekeeping or otherwise. And do be aware of the rest. Stay tuned for more videos coming up for us. And also make sure you do tune in to the podcast every Wednesday and Friday where we talk about this stuff. And additionally, specifically, you can ask your questions. It's every Wednesday and Friday, twitch.tv/beastandthebells, twitch.tv/beastandthebells. Obviously, Alice and I will be there. And again, this weekend, launching this weekend, we will have more educational videos, including some about this. Yay! Everybody's favorite choking. Because apparently I'm the choke king of TikTok now, says the haters. But I'll run with the title. So stay tuned for myself and the other bells this weekend with more content. And make sure you tune in to the podcast this Wednesday and Friday and every Wednesday and Friday. Thank you, kinky fuckers of YouTube. Beast out.